the next session by Professor Dr. Tabrez Ahmad. He is a Vice-Chancellor at GD Goenka University. He will be speaking on challenges of achieving learning outcomes during the pandemic. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Santosh Rane. And let me also thank the Federation of Education Leaders and Administrators for giving me a chance to speak on this very important program that we are going to analyze the impact of pandemic on higher education. And I'll be speaking on the challenges of achieving learning outcomes during pandemic. We know very well that there was a challenge to switch over from offline to online mode. And keeping in mind the scenario, it was very challenging for almost 70% universities and colleges to switch over from offline mode to online mode, because we never have seriousness about establishing the infrastructure in the online system, because we were mostly, India was mostly favoring and running the system in the offline mode. But some of the universities like us, GD Goenka University and some of the established universities who were having the kind of potential to establish the online infrastructure like the remote access softwares, online journals, regarding having the system of the kind of established classroom where the multimedia projector, where we have the every faculty has the laptop with the Wi-Fi campus and all. So we were one of the very fortunate universities where the faculty and students were trained to have the some experience of the online system. So it was not much challenge for us to switch over from the offline mode to online mode. But there are universities and colleges, there are big challenge, especially in the rural areas, where even the school were not having the infrastructure to properly run the system in the online mode, especially the rural areas, primary school and the kind of the high school, intermediate colleges in the rural areas. And some universities in the rural areas, they could not have the kind of classes running for the last 2 years. So in fact, it was a big loss to lot of the universities and colleges, because there was no learning happening. And in fact, all those students is now suffering, because it will be in their whole life, there will be a lot of gap is there to have the some benchmarking, some kind of the core knowledge they're missing in the learning standards. Keeping in mind the growing challenges of the education system, because now we have moved on from the education 1.0 to education 4.0, and also we are moving on from the industry 1.0 to 4.0. Now the question is that one question is that what is should be the outcome and how we are going to achieve those outcomes. So thanks to the kind of NAC and NBA on all the NIRF and all, and also by the support of the government, the NEP and new education policy, we are now very much concerned about the OBE, that is the outcome-based education learning system, where we focus a lot on the outcome-based model. But again, thanks to the Bloom's taxonomy, Mr. Benjamin Bloom, who in 1956 given the idea of the kind of order of thinking, where we have the lower order of thinking to the higher order of thinking, that anybody is imparting knowledge, he has to ensure that he is going to maintain the 6th level of thinking. So just like that, we have 6 level, that level number, this LOT, lower order thinking includes that understanding, remember and apply. And then we have higher order thinking, that is the kind of analyze, evaluate and creation. So what I understand, whether you are teaching any subject or any kind of imparting any knowledge, you have to ensure that students are growing and going to achieve the outcome from understanding to the creation. So this problem, so one problem is that very few universities and colleges are really having their curriculum defined and designed in terms of the outcome-based model, where each faculty is fully trained to define their curriculum in terms of the OBE, where he is able to define the vision and mission of the university, and then trying to sync his curriculum to the vision and mission of the university. And then there is a kind of the program outcome, course outcome, all are defined. And there is system of trying to analyze how much outcome was achieved, what was the gap, and how those gaps will be filled up. Because in the during pandemic time, it was for some time universities were closed, there was nothing was happening. But again, when the condition became normal, we were actually all the universities we started running the online classes. But again, what I mentioned that only 30% universities and colleges were able to run system properly. And then again, definitely those 30% may be able to achieve the outcome. Now the challenges were that because as I mentioned that there are 6 levels of learning. So first thing was the understanding. So if you see the understanding, because we shifted from the offline to online mode, in the online mode, the big challenge is that how to ensure that students were understanding what you are teaching, because the one challenge was the eye contact. So some of the students, because they may be online, but they switch off their video, or sometime they are simply just log in and maybe engage some other activities. So the engagement level was very, very low. Because for a better learning, if you are able to engage the student, then then you can ensure that the learning was happening. So what you are imparting the knowledge, whether those who are student were engaged in the online mode, whether they were understanding or not understanding, it was very challenging to ensure. Because in an offline classroom, if you are in taking a lecture, at least you are seeing their body language, and from the eye contact you will understand that whether they are learning or not learning. If you're an experienced teacher, you can easily make out from the body language that the understanding is happening. And then you have the liberty to change your kind of level of imparting knowledge. If the students are feeling that your lecture is very complicated, you can then dilute the lecture. You can make the lecture very, very easy, or you can change the language, so it will be in tune with the students, and then the learning will start and they will understand the subject. But in the online mode, the big challenge was that because the eye contact was not properly there, and you were not aware that how many students were listening to lecture, and what you are saying, how many are actually imbibing the lecture. So there's no chance to modulate the lecture, that whether make it very complicated or make it very easy. And then as per the learning level of the student, you should have liberty to change. So one challenge was that trying to understand whether understanding was happening or not happening. Now come to the second level, that is remember. Now during the normal lecture, you have the kind of during lecture, you can ask questions, you can raise some issues, and by that engagement, you'll understand whether they remember or not remember. But if you're going to have the online lecture, the challenge was that how to test remembering. Because generally in the offline mode, you can ask question and see from the participation level, you'll understand that who will able to reflect back, and then how much they're able to remember. Next is the apply. So application is more kind of suited to the practical aspect. If ask about the legal education, generally what we do generally we cite a lot of examples, and also we generally use a lot of the old cases or landmark cases or foreign cases, and then from those cases we try to apply in the institute and see that whether students are able to apply or not apply. But in the online mode, it's a big challenge to see that whether they are able to apply the knowledge or not apply the knowledge, and that's why achieving the objective was very, very complicated. Now we can come to the higher order thinking, where there are 3 levels are there: analyze, evaluate, and creation. So how to find out that whether they're going to analyze? Even for analysis, the students should be able to have some kind of chance to analyze. And for analysis, if you have proper discussion in the classroom and debate, and then by that debate, you will understand that how many are able to analyze the discussion and try to see. And from the analysis and the debate and discussion, you can find out the learning levels, and then you will accordingly you can understand that what you are trying to impart the knowledge to the student, they're able to analyze or not. Now the next is that evaluation. How you're going to evaluate, whether the student can evaluate something. So in the evaluation process, unless and until you are able to really engage the student, you are not able to properly evaluate, or whatever you are teaching to them, they got certain knowledge. From that knowledge, you are going to make evaluations or comparisons and analysis. So evaluation was a big challenge for there, that they're able to analyze properly, and then from that analysis, you will understand that how they're able to analyze. Now the last one is creation. Because if the creation is the top higher order thinking in the Bloom's taxonomy, and then if they're able to create something from the your area of knowledge you're trying to impart, you can say that yes, I'm able to achieve my learning objective, because they're able to understand, they're able to remember, they're able to apply, then they can analyze and they can evaluate, and also they can create something. So creation in terms of the kind of outcome, for example, you may give a project work to them and they're able to write a good projects, or they are able to write a good article, or they can produce a very good kind of report. And from that report, you can work out that whatever you are wanted to impart the knowledge, they are able to create something. So if you analyze in terms of the Bloom's taxonomy during pandemic, it was very, very challenging all 6 levels, and each level was challenged to issue by the faculty. So it's a big challenge to achieve the learning outcomes because of the not having proper system of online, offline interaction, lack of the training of the student and faculty, lack of the infrastructure, and also lack of motivation of the student, that they may not be able to really engage with the faculty. So it was more dependent on the student and faculty interest. If both are interested properly, they have good connection, they are highly interested, you are able to maintain the outcome. So outcome level achievement was very, very less because of these technical reasons. Now, as general parlance, in that case, I think we have to always try to find out 4 C's that from our teaching, that we have to see that how to engage and create among the student some interest and the creativity, and then creating something or engaging them to become very creative also required a lot of environment and culture, so they can create something. Next is collaboration. So how to develop the skill of collaboration, because for the collaboration you should have a kind of physically present student, they're talking, engaging in a groups, they're doing group activity, you can have better kind of the collaboration skill. But in online mode, you may make the online groups, WhatsApp groups, but that kind of peer learning will not happen, because the peer learning is one of the best way of learning. You can have maximum learning from the peers. So peer learning was a big challenge during the pandemic, and that's why lot of challenge was there to achieve the outcome. Communication big challenge, because in the communication, if you have the proper system and physical classes, you can easily communicate with the student, they can communicate to you, and then they can have the kind of proper interaction, and they can communicate anything. By the communication, it may have better kind of learning outcome. Critical thinking. In critical thinking, that unless until they have serious discussion, they understood the entire subject. So we have seen that because there was challenges to learning the full subject, and unless until you can learn the full subject, you cannot expect them to have critical thinking, because it's a very advanced stage of the learning. So critical thinking was a big challenge to achieve during the pandemic. So my point is that because already we have big challenge, that one challenge is that having the ready curriculum that is market ready, subject to industry, because industry already have gone to 4.0. Whether our curriculum is suited to industry 4.0 or not. The next challenge was that already we have gone to from education 1.0 to 4.0, whether our system of education is fulfilling the requirement of education 4.0, because in education 4.0, we are focusing on the innovation based education. Innovation based education is very challenging in the online mode. We are trying to have lot of kind of the blockchain technology. We are going to have the VR. We are going to have the a lot of other support system, AI and all these things, to make it very innovation based education. But these are not actually available to everybody. It's a very costly affair. Everybody cannot afford these technologies. Even the kind of level you can achieve in the physical mode may not be able to achieve in the online mode. So then again, keeping in mind the latest education, that is industry 4.0, suited to industry requirement, and the skill set, employability skill set as required for the somebody to be employable in a professional course, was a very big challenge to achieve during the pandemic. So my point is that because of the all these challenges during pandemic, it was very challenging to achieve the learning outcomes. And I'm sure a lot of good faculty, good universities who have infrastructure, who are highly motivated, excited, some students who are really interested may be able to achieve maximum. But in general parlance, it was a very big challenge to achieve the learning outcome. With these few words, I want to close here. And I thank again FELA for inviting me. And also want to thank Santosh Rane for this opportunity.